Today, we are back with some more Minecraft Skyblock here on Cosmic Sky. We're going to be going over the best armor set in my personal opinion for one socket armor, which means one custom enchant per piece of armor and weapon. Personally, I think it's the best layout for the chainmail adventure, known as the Abandoned Ruins. And of course, you won't lose it unless you turn on PvP with /PvP, which I highly recommend you don't. But anyways, we're gonna go in detail about this set because I've worked on it for the past 2 days almost, and I actually managed to get everything I wanted for it, and it's absolutely insane. So let's go into my PV1, and all my tools are here as you can see, but the main thing is this armor setup here, and we'll go in detail about that. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the axe. It is sharpness 5, smite 5, unbreaking 3, and of course you don't have to get all these maxed out, all the regular enchants, but it does help significantly for having to fix less amounts, and of course to do more damage. But Boss Slayer 2, what that does is do more damage to the purple name tag mobs known as elites, what we'll be fighting in today's video, and also the Bandit King, which is not in the game currently but will be eventually. But as you can see, Boss Slayer is only level 2. It actually goes up to level 3, and most of these enchants are one-off of max because they're easier to obtain, the one-off of max version of the enchant. So I'm rolling with that for now, and I might eventually swap them out if I need to, especially Boss Slayer. But anyways, this is the axe, and you can start with a legendary socket for all pieces of gear and put any type of enchant in that. If you really want to make a one socket set, you could just use legendary sockets, but I chose the designated socket for the designated enchant. So Boss Slayer is rare, just so you know, and you need a rare or a legendary socket. So let's move on to the boots here. So the first thing I'm gonna mention, Prot 4 is kind of a must if you're going to fight elites, and Unbreaking 3 if you don't want your gear to break as often. You could go with Protection 3 or Unbreaking 2, but it's just not as reliable, even though it's easier to get. You might want to at least step up your game and get at least a few Protection 4s and Unbreaking 3s. Every single piece of gear has Fire and Projectile Protection 3, just so everyone's aware. It's not necessary, but it does help. But then the custom enchant on this piece of gear is Anti-Axe, and alternatively, you could use Anti-Sword, which just basically makes less damage happen to you when used on an axe or a sword against you. Personally, if you're fighting elites, I think Anti-Axe is the best option because I believe most of the elites hold a axe, and you want to take as little amounts of damage from elites mainly because they do the most. But those are the boots, and yes, you could use Anti-Axe or Anti-Sword. So we're gonna move on to the leggings. All the pieces of gear moving forward are gonna have the same regular enchants, but different custom enchants. Oh yeah, and I completely forgot, Anti-Axe or Anti-Sword, you need a rare or a legendary socket to actually put it on the gear. But anyways, let's move forward to the Angelic 4 on the leggings. And the reason I'm putting all these enchants in specific spots is based off how valuable they are to me in case I do break a armor piece. Just to give clarification why they're on these specific pieces. But yes, we got Angelic 4 on the chainmail, which you could use rare or legendary as well for sockets to put Angelic on, I believe. But Angelic basically is a better version of Enlightened, which is an alternative. They both basically just regenerate health, but Angelic produces way more. So you want Angelic over Enlightened if possible. So that is why this enchant is important, and it is on the leggings because it regenerates my health. And I believe it can go on any armor piece, same with Anti-Axe and Anti-Sword. But the next two enchants are specifically, I believe, towards the two pieces. So we're moving forward to a legendary enchant, so you will need a legendary socket, and you're going to want Overload. Overload just basically gives you more hearts. So you get 2 extra hearts per level, so you could get up to like 6, I believe, with the max level, which is really overpowered to make sure you tank more hits. And it's on the chestplate because it's specifically locked to the chestplate, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So for the helmet, I'm gonna say use implants. You could put dodge 4 on this or any kind of dodge level. They're both rare and could go on a legendary or rare socket, so you could put dodge, but I recommend implants as the main go-to. It doesn't do a lot, but it is actually very useful if you don't want to eat as much, even though bringing food in adventure is still very required to regenerate with natural regeneration from food. But of course, you could put dodge, which basically just dodges an attack, I guess you could say, which is useful for people that get hit a lot. Personally, I don't have that problem, but I'd say implants is your best go-to, and I think I said that with Angelic. It's obviously Angelic first, and then Enlightened, and then it's obviously Anti-Axe, then Anti-Sword. It just depends on if you have it at the time. Putting these gems on was a horrible impossible task because you have to get the break chance on a gem down, which I'll give an example. This gem right here has a 95% chance of breaking when you apply it. So you have a 5% chance of that gem applying. If this does not work, it's gone. So you want to get it down to 10%, which is the lowest you can do with just regular dust. But if you open a perfect gem, you have odds of getting, I think, 10% or a little bit lower. I think it's like 7% at lowest. I may be wrong, but it is under 10% slightly from a perfect gem if you pull the enchant from there. But of course, dust is a very important thing, and it does cost a lot. As you can see, iron dust is a ton. So people spend tons of money on dust, and I spent over millions just on dust just to apply to gems so I could actually manage to make this set. Because I've broken a few gems and it was not fun at all. And I know most people are probably wondering how I'm managing to get all this money. First of all, the easiest method is going in the scavenger adventure. So scavenger adventure, you can do this every once in a while. Make sure you complete the run and don't die so you can get all the loot with /collect. The next thing is, of course, working on your island to make money-making methods on here, but it's slower than the scavenger adventure. And then my personal opinion, if you already have, let's say, like around maybe 300,000, 400,000 just saved up, start going on the auction house /AH and start flipping items. What I've been doing is finding cosmic slot bot tickets, and what I've done is whenever they're like around 150,000 or lower than what they were before, I tend to buy those and resell them for a 20 to 25,000 profit, and people actually buy them. So I'm just flipping an item that someone else was selling to make more money. It's realistically probably the best way to make money in my eyes if you're starting out without a rank and you have some money you've already got that you could use to flip with. Like, I have 1.6 million, but now since I can adventure with a full-on god set or whatever, it's probably better to be doing that than obviously AH flipping for hours, because for me, AH flipping gets painful on the eyes over time. That's why I don't do it as much compared to adventure. So I'm gonna show my layout for my set of what I bring in adventure. First of all, you might want like a stack of food and use it over the time you run adventures. It may not run out in, of course, the first run or two, but you'll slowly run out of food eventually. So make sure you keep getting food. I also suggest bread, but I'd say cooked food is probably better for the saturation you'll be getting. It's just more reliable. In /shop, there's a potions shop that you can go ahead and purchase potions from. So my recommendation is buy 3 to 4 potions per run, and I'll explain which ones you should buy per run. So I recommend buying strength and speed by default, but either choose fire resistance or regeneration. But I'd say regeneration, since fire resistance does cost an extra $200. And then of course, get a little bit of splash potions if you're good at splashing pots. If not, don't bother until you learn how to pot, of course, because it would just be a waste of money. So here's personally my layout that I go for. I get at least 3 to 4 of each of these pots: regeneration, strength, swiftness, and then I get a few splash pots. And by a few, I mean like 9, because I can afford them now. Now that I'm a millionaire, I can just buy pots freely, so it's okay for me to buy pots because I'll make that money back in adventures. But I usually tend to buy 9 potions, and that's about that. So I'm gonna give a rundown of a few things here in adventure where I recommend you farm. So my recommendation is actually just going straight to mid, because there are so many people. You can see where it says adventurers. In each one of these, there's a different amount of people. 44 are in this one, but I usually go to the lowest since I have a good set. But if you don't have a good set, go straight to the middle of the map, which is coordinates 0, 0 on X and I believe Z or Z coordinate. And what you do from there is you team with a ton of other people. Even if you don't get loot, try and kill the elite bandits. The purple text name tag or whatever above the mob is what you should be looking for. If you fight with a group of people, it tends to not know who to attack, which then leads to you getting a ton of hits and other people getting hits. And it usually comes down to the last hit most of the time, so you need to hit it the last in order to get the loot that it drops. But the loot is really good. We're gonna hop in Adventure 6 right here. So we'll spawn in around the outskirts. As you can see in the top left, we're around 500 blocks almost out on one coordinate, and it varies on the other coordinate, of course. You're always gonna spawn on the outskirts, which is kind of normal, and then one of the other coordinates will obviously just be around the outskirts as well. So sometimes you may be further than others, because sometimes you'll be right in the corner and it's just not fun at all to run that length, but in the end it's worth doing. So we're running to 0, 0 here, and it should look like this giant castle right here. This is the castle. It is ginormous, and what I usually do before I run in is I make sure my sounds are up for this so I can actually hear things. And we're going to go ahead, drink our strength and speed, and the then we'll go ahead, eat our food, pop a regeneration when we need to, which is right now because we see our first victim, which is a wolf. And as you can see, if you look at my hotbar, my health will be tanky very much when I'm fighting these mobs. So just keep your eyes peeled on how good my health stays from one hit of the mob. We just got a elite socket expander for 50% chance. That's the first time I've ever actually gotten one. It's cool that we got it on video too. But as you can see, I'm tanking all these hits very much because I have regen, and of course I have angelic and all sorts of good things. And I do want to mention the green particles mean there might be better loot. Not always, but keyword might. So if you fight the mobs around there and claim that chest, you might get better stuff, just so you're aware. So I want to look for an elite and try and kill one as a group of people to give an example. If there is any people in here, because I did see a few, but I don't know if we'll take it on as a team or not. Oh, and there's our first elite, purple text, elite bandit. So I don't think anyone sees it right now, but I am going to be the first one to start contesting it, and just watch how much damage it does. It did 3 hearts there, but it did do damage, so I gotta be careful. Splash my pots. Being good at splashing pots is very important in this. But as you can see, there's 3 of us fighting it, and it's only tagging on 1 person. So that means we can get more damage in and start taking this thing out. And I did not get the last hit, but as you can see, that person did get a skill token. I saw it on the ground really quick. You won't be getting all the loot possible that you want from here, but it's the best route to go, in my opinion, even if you're not getting all the loot. I think farming the mobs on the outskirts are just really not worth it at all. And the reason I say that is just because the lack of, like, chances of getting the good loot is very low, which makes the time spent into it not as worth. That's why I suggest just running to middle, even if you have, like, a Prot 3 set and tag teaming with people. Okay, there's a ton of people tag teaming up on this elite bandit. As you can see, a ton of people are tag teaming on this thing. I'm gonna wait for it to get low. And I got the elite bandit. What do we get? So when you kill an elite bandit, you do get $1,000 and 100 XP each time, which does add up pretty significantly for pot purchases. So that's why I still recommend pots if you do get some kills on elite bandits, because you'll make the money back somewhat. Okay, there's so many people here. Look at how many people are here. And we're already on under half. I'm gonna stay back so then I can run in and not get slowness. Come on. I got the loot. Let's go. And I got a map fragment. That's like 200,000. And there's a chest here I can claim as well. Claim that because all the people are surrounding it. But there we go. That was successful. We had a decent run already. And that took around like at maximum 15 minutes there, which was pretty good. So this is my personal set that I recommend to you, and also how I adventure in the abandoned ruins. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.